Good morning. And how are you today? Just hit the mic. I'm fabulous. Getting ready to have some coffee. Have a cup of Joe with me. Yeah. Okay, that's better. Man, I hope you had a great day yesterday, and I hope that you have a great one again today. Also, it's the weekend, so yay, weekend. It's supposed to be going up to Madison. Be heading out for there in a couple hours. Okay, what shall we talk about, huh? Jesus. So yesterday, our commander-in-chief decided to let America know that you're going to do what they say you need to do, and if you don't, we're going to coerce you into doing it. Oh, and by the way, you have to do it with your body. If you've watched any of these, you know how I feel about that type of mandate. I believe, once again, I've been vaccinated. I believe people that are in those groups that's supposed to get it based on their comorbidities or susceptibility, you should get it. I think you should get it too. But you have rights. At least you did. Look, this is a statement of fact. The government and the president threatened the American people through coercive measures in order to do what he says you need to do to protect other people. Whether you believe that that's okay or not, we need to go through history and see if that's happened a lot. The only time I can think of where this was mandated in where a person's rights were completely ignored for the good of everyone else. Lincoln did this, of all the people, because he was, God bless him, how he managed to keep this country together. And granted, it was a war, and a horrific one. But, he threw people in jail, people from the South, with no anything except that they had an accent and they were from the South, and kept them there indefinitely because he didn't want them to spy. Now, that's a pretty horrific thing to do. But I guess extreme times and extreme measures. Maybe Biden feels that this is an extreme time and an extreme measure. Or this is just lunacy. So before I get into any of that, I do have a couple questions. Things that I haven't really heard yet. Maybe you know the answer. You can tell me. If my faith precludes me from getting a vaccine, can I get a pass on it? The second clause of the First Amendment says I'm allowed to freely practice my faith. So is Biden saying that he is now stamping on that and saying, no, that right? You don't have it anymore. For now. For now. Don't worry. We'll give it back to you later. You can go to your church if you want, but if you believe based on faith that you whatever faith that is, that you don't want to get this thing, can you get an exemption? Now, of course, atheists are going to be like, because there's a brand of atheists that's very vocal about it, and that's fine. What do I care? You have no impact on my life whatsoever. But saying that this should be, that doesn't matter. Okay, let's pluck that clause out. Which other clauses are we plucking? What are we doing here? It's just, and what's the test for it? What is the government going to give you a test to prove that so that's one question that I have. How about this? This government cares about us, right? Biden cares. They love us. They care. They only care. It's all about caring. Are we going to stop taxing people who smoke their cigarettes? They get $12 billion a year. Over $12 billion a year is brought into this government revenue. It's a revenue stream based on cigarette taxes. Now think about that for a second. This is an item, when used properly, kills 20% of Americans. Now, it kills 20% of all Americans every year. I'm sorry, I said that incorrectly. 20% of all Americans that die in this country, about 25 million-ish, 2.5 million-ish. I'm stammering today. I'm sorry. About 2.5 million people a year approximately close to 20% of all of those people, their deaths are directly related to smoking. 1 in 5, somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 6. But we tax that item. We take money from you to use an item that kills you. What's the reason? Personal choice, right? Now think about that for a second. You have the right to buy an item that will kill you if used properly, or probably will, or have some sort of terrible effect on you. And the government, instead of stopping you, says, no, we'll take some of that money you're putting out too. But when it comes to a vaccine for something that has about a 0.4 chance of killing you, now we're going to force you to take it. Now, I don't know. It's just a question. I guess they're going to stop doing that now, but for our safety. Now, what happens later on, too? You've got some doctors saying if you're not vaccinated, we don't want to treat you. I guess the Hippocratic Oath is bullshit for those people. But that's the level of insanity that we've been driven to. The next question is, do you refuse to other groups of people healthcare? Why should we be giving a bed to a person in an ICU who smokes? Why? They made a conscious decision, and I'm not knocking smokers. You do what you want. Like I said, as a libertarian, I can care less what you do. It's your life. And I throw some drinks in my body. I shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Look at me. I'm saying, let's use me as an example. Well, what do they do when they turn around and say, you're a little too heavy? We have a rule. It's just the implications of something like this when you consider the government taxes items that they know will kill you. But we're supposed to trust these people, right? They care. Don't they care? They care. Number 3, what happens if a state refuses to comply? Suppose Texas turns around and says, all these mandates, yeah, screw you, we're not doing that. We're not doing any of that. And you can't force us. What happens? Does the federal government coerce a state through force? Why aren't we even talking about this? It's so unbelievable. Suppose a state of Idaho says, no, all these mandates, we're not doing any of them. Our mortality rates and whatever, no different percentage-wise than anybody else's. We haven't been doing anything compared to what you're doing. Well, we're going to start Sherman tanks driving down the road in friggin' Provo, Utah, or in Boise, Idaho. Or what about the border crossers? Do they have to take this? I mean, I don't even know. I'm asking. Maybe they don't, or maybe they do. Maybe they're literally being injected when they come across. I don't know. I haven't heard. Maybe they are. Maybe they are forcing people to take this injection who enter this country illegally. Or maybe they're not. He didn't mention that in his speech yesterday, did he? Of course not. It's, so if the southern border is licking like a sieve, and this isn't a race thing, please. Maybe for somebody it is. It's not for me. Because if we don't know who's entering this country, that means that they could do us harm. If we have, oh, by the way, for my leftist friends, we have enemies. Shh, don't tell anybody. Or maybe, I don't know. The federal government, the president of the federal government, coercing through force, it's unbelievable. But anyway, remember, he said this. This is not about freedom or personal choice. A president saying this isn't about freedom. It's not about your choices. What's the next variant? When do you think that one starts up? When things settle down a little bit? Think there'll be a new variant of a virus that's been released, possibly been released into a population that was weaponized, and apparently we may have helped pay for it. Man, I wish I had nicer and happier things to talk about today, but these are just questions. Just questions. Not going to get any answers, of course. I don't trust this guy as far as I could throw him. He's proven, this government's proven it's completely untrustworthy. And I guess we'll keep saying that. We'll keep saying otherwise until we're told we can't anymore. Oh, that won't happen. Don't worry. And I guess the people who get online on a daily basis and berate and call you names, which they've been doing for 20 years, right? Now they'll stop if you get it. They'll love you now. They'll care. Right? This will mend everything. Joe's the great uniter. Being coerced by a president to do something with your body that you don't want to do for the greater good. Who said things like that in the past? You want to go down a list? I don't want to go down a list because it'll just make me miserable. Look, I don't know. You do. I've been vaccinated because I read up. I did the best research I could from the sources that I trust, which are dwindling. And do I think people should too? Yeah, I would like to see people make that choice. But the thought of being held down and jabbed, either, figuratively or actually, by a government that's ordering you to put something inside you that you don't want. I don't know, man. I don't know. Where does that stop? Remember, the people that are in the ruling class hate us. They do. They don't like us. And when I say us, I mean all the us, not just the people that vote against them. They need us to love them. They need us to give them power and control so they can feel better about themselves. They need us to be controlled. Well, I won't be controlled. I mean, that's just it. And that's what I'm going to leave this with. Do what you want. If you don't want to get a vaccine, I think you should. I really do. But this government or no government's going to coerce me into doing anything that I don't want to do. Oh, you're being subversive. No, I'm being an American. When you add all the numbers up and you look at this well under 1% mortality rate, and when you figure that the people in power have lied to us about this thing repeatedly, we were told that this virus didn't come from Wuhan, China, and if you said it online, you were demonetized. And at the same time, they were supporting it. Meanwhile, there's emails flying around saying, yeah, this probably, or at least may have, if not probably, came from a lab in China. They knew it, but you couldn't say it out loud. This is the same this is the same process that this president told us a year ago he wouldn't get it if the other guy was president. But since he's president, it's okay. Because he walked into a lab and he manipulated the genes and so on and so forth. He fixed it. He made it right. I don't know. But here's what I do know. It's another morning. Sun's up. We're alive. And we get a few minutes on this planet to live our lives. And we were blessed beyond any comprehension to be born in this nation, which will soon not be the greatest on the planet. And a lot of people are okay with that. And they're the people that are going to suffer the most. It's so surreal. But it's interesting as well. Watching this, living this in real time is really a bizarre experience. It's amazing. We're living history. We lived a date in history yesterday. And tomorrow's a really bad one too. 20 years. I don't know. But you know what? I love you. I really do. Just another day on this planet. Just another day of being a little sack of space dust and water floating around on a little tiny pebble. It's a bizarre experience. It really is a bizarre experience. But keep asking questions. You have the right. They can't force you to do something you don't want to do unless they literally force you to do it. Being coerced. It's unbelievable. Anyway, look, obviously I'm not in the best mood right now. I'm trying my best, but I'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll get through this. I love you, man. You have a great day and a great weekend.